Most men think survival mode means panic, heart racing, life falling apart, everything on fire. But that's not survival mode. Real survival mode is much stealthier than that. And that's why so many capable men never even realize they're in it. What survival mode really is. Survival mode is not stress. Stress is temporary. It has an endpoint. You push through, and things eventually settle. And it isn't burnout either. Burnout is collapse. Survival mode is containment. Survival mode is what happens when your nervous system decides, this is no longer about growth. This is about stability. So your focus narrows, not because you're weak, but because narrowing feels safer. Life becomes about handling problems, avoiding mistakes, keeping things from getting worse. You still function. You still perform. You still show up. But everything non-essential gets cut away. Curiosity, joy, long-term thinking, any risk that isn't forced. You're not living badly, but you are living minimally. And after a while, that starts to feel normal. How a competent man slips into it. This doesn't happen because a man can't cope. It happens because he can. Survival mode usually begins during a period of life where responsibility increases, margin for error disappears, failure becomes expensive, a promotion, a business that can't fail, a family relying on you, parents aging. At first, you adapt, intelligently. You cut distractions, delay gratification. You focus on what must be handled. It works. And that's the trap. Because every time you override fatigue, suppress doubt, every time you say, I'll deal with that later, your system learns, this is how we survive now. And eventually, you stop asking, what do I want? And start asking, what needs dealing with next? Not because you gave up, but because you became reliable. Why men over 50 are especially prone. Men over 50 are not more fragile. They're more conditioned. They grew up with a simple rule set. Strength meant endurance. Emotion was handled privately. You didn't stop unless something broke. By midlife, many men have spent decades choosing duty over desire, learned to function without feedback, been rewarded for pushing through discomfort. So when survival mode arrives, it doesn't feel alarming. It feels familiar. It feels like, this is simply what responsibility feels like. And because survival mode doesn't shout loudly, it doesn't get questioned. But here's an important fact. Survival mode is useful in emergencies, but it is highly corrosive when allowed to become permanent. Staying there doesn't make a man strong. It makes him smaller. The most dangerous thing about survival mode isn't how hard it feels. It's how reasonable it feels. In the next video, we'll talk about the signs that reveal when survival mode has become part of your life. Because once you can see it, you don't have to live inside it anymore.